Hey, what's going on, everybody? Manny here once again. Welcome back to DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineup advice for the NBA and the NFL. I have a brand new video for you, ladies and gentlemen. But before I get started, like always, I appreciate you guys drop a like on the video. If you're new to the channel, it's your first time here, never ever seen any of my NBA lineup advice videos, the only thing you need to do to be a part of the community and get this content on a regular basis is to become a subscriber down below and make sure you put on that bell icon, turn that on. This way you don't miss out on any of my NBA or NFL lineup advice videos when they are uploaded. With that being said, today is Thursday, December the 27th, 2018, and we have a 5-game slate in the association. And before I get started with the actual picks for today and discuss the slate, recap of yesterday's games, not too bad, better performance, did win some money on the after hours, not a whole lot, nothing to brag about, no hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars, but obviously anything that happens like that, I will definitely share it with you guys, my viewers. But I did cash some money. I did make some money, so I was in a positive yesterday. Nonetheless, the picks went fairly well other than Oladipo. Oladipo was the only disappointment with 34.9 fantasy points yesterday. We were hoping for him to get 42 or better, which was what he needed to meet value. Didn't do that. But De'Aaron Fox was good at 43 plus in 29 minutes after the team was sat down with a 27-point deficit. Fox did have a fairly good game in 29 minutes. He was at 8,200, needed 41, got himself about 43, so that's pretty good. Mr. Belizia was fantastic, 38.8 fantasy points at a $5,300 price tag. I mean, he absolutely crushed value. And then Mr. Harrell, 54.3 for the Clippers at a $6,600 price tag. He definitely exceeded value. He crushed as well. Andrew Drummond, if you took Drummond, 46.2 fantasy point totals here on Fanduel. Not bad at all. He just pretty much met value at 9,700. So overall, the picks went fairly well. So hopefully, if you guys played any one of them, hopefully it made you some money. Other than that, let's just move on, man, today. All right, today at point guard, man, we got Steph Curry. Now, again, like always here, I always give you guys options. Steph Curry, definitely in a good spot. I think he is someone you should consider. He's at home going up against Portland. I mean, Portland's been giving up the most fantasy points on this actual slate as far as point guards. They have been giving up the most at 35.2 fantasy points per game as of late. So Curry's in a good spot, and he's actually fantastic at home. So I like him there. He is someone to consider at 9,700, could definitely, and he has 60-point upside. Kyrie Irving versus Houston going up against James Harden. If Harden plays right now, Harden is a game-time decision, so there may be some more value that may open up there for the Houston Rockets, for us out here as DFS players. But right now, Kyrie Irving, if Harden is playing, Kyrie Irving is definitely a solid play against Houston. You know he's going to want to ball out against James, and all the better games thus far this year, as far as close games or competitive games, Kyrie has been on the floor and has had tons of usage and a lot of minutes on the floor and taking lots of shots. So he's the guy you want there. He's their key offensive weapon for the Celtics. Then, of course, I'm going to come again. De'Aaron Fox is in play for me again. Plain and simple. I mean, he only played 29 minutes last night. He's in the front end of back-to-back. Has not harmed him throughout the year on back-to-backs. He's at home. I love that matchup. I would think that Coach Yeager is not going to sit down his players if they're that bad, especially at home. A little bit of embarrassment. It would be a little bit of embarrassment for these players if he was to do that. But again, I'm sure he would do it if he needed to. But De'Aaron Fox, I think, is in play for certain for me again, man. We already went through the numbers yesterday. He's averaging more than 40 fantasy points per game pretty much over the last 6 games or so. He has 50-point upsides. We know he's capable of getting 50 or better. He's playing more than 29 minutes a game on average. And he has been pretty much, let me go to him right now. And he's been solid, man. Usage rate over 23%. As you can see, the minutes are there. Look at the shots, over 15 per game over the last few games. Pretty much on average, maybe about 12 or 13 a game. He can take 1 or 2 threes. He's capable of getting the free throw line. Shoots fairly well from there. And, of course, you're going to get some occasional rebounds, not a whole lot. He did get 6 in the game the last time out, 9 assists. Pretty much, and you're going to get some steals from him and some blocks time to time. He's been very, very good as far as moving his feet and using his hands to deflect and get some steals, as he's had 4, 9, 10, 11 over the last 4 games. So Mr. Fox, definitely in play for me, man, and he is going up against the Lakers, and versus the Lakers, he put up a 37 and 30 earlier this year. This here was a preseason game. This was the last game, the one game this year. And as you can see, last year, 26 or better in 3 out of the 4 games. But his situation has changed. I mean, he is a much better player than he was last year. It's his second year in the league. And not only that, he is stand out as being the top dog on this team as far as offensively. So De'Aaron Fox in play. The Lakers 12th in defending point guards, allowing 29.6 fantasy points per game over the last 5 games. Again, the numbers are Connolly 35, D'Angelo Russell 45, and John Wall 78 over the last 3 out of the last 5 or 6 games. Those were their opponents. We move down, of course. There is some exposure, like I gave you guys on Christmas Day, Eric Bledsoe over the Knicks. I think Bledsoe could come back and have a monster game today. He didn't play particularly well the last game against the Knickerbockers, but he is someone in play. The Knicks are vulnerable there, 31.3 fantasy points per game versus opposing point guards, and he's had a pretty good, couple good games against the Knicks over the last year or so, but unfortunately last game out was not a good one, but a bounce-back game, definitely a guy who could get you 40 or better at $7,200 price tag. Eric Bledsoe should be someone you can consider if you want to pay down and save some money from a guy like Fox. He is $1,300 cheaper. You got Ricky Rubio going up against Philly. He could be someone you can consider. A lot of people are going to be on Lonzo Ball. Granted, no doubt about it. I will have exposure to Lonzo. I'd be personally honest with you. I like the matchups better for KCP at $3,800. Price tag at shooting guard versus Sacramento, and with no LeBron James, obviously that opens up the doors for him to have more usage and more opportunities to score. I do love Brandon Ingram in this matchup. I love Lance Stevenson coming off the bench. I love those 3 players a lot more than Ball. And granted, you also have Kyle Kuzma, who's been the second leading scorer on this team. So you would think he's going to step up and try to be a little more offensive minded today as well. His usage and his minutes and his shots are going to be increased as well. So, but Ball is in play. He is in play. I just feel he's going to be a tougher matchup for him as well as a tougher matchup for Fox. But I like the way Fox moves, especially in a fast-paced game. I think he can slash and dash and do a lot more than Lonzo Ball would. And he's just a little bit more of a dangerous player offensively right now. So I'll be willing to pay up for Ball, for Fox. But Ball coming down to $2,500 cheaper, not a bad play. He can get you $2,500, $30,000. I think he can definitely do that. So Lonzo Ball is someone to consider, especially due to the fact that there is no LeBron James. If you're going to call anybody else that I'm really not fond of, a whole lot of guys down here at the bottom. If there's anybody, got to watch out with Trey Burke with the New York Knicks. He played 14 minutes the last game on Christmas Day. He may be jumped up to 20 minutes today. In 20 minutes, he can get you 1 fantasy point per minute and then some. He is capable of lighting you up for 30, 35 fantasy points in 20 minutes. He is that explosive. So he's someone you can definitely consider in the bottom tier. I'm not too high on Moutier today at $5,800, even though his price tag is down. Shooting guard. At shooting guard today, and let's put in Mr. Fox again here. And Fox is not, he's going to be on probably about 30% of my lineups. I mean, like I said, I do have exposure. I really love Curry and Irving here in these matchups. Just concerned a little bit with the price tag, so I'd rather come down and pay for Fox, who has the potential to put up 40 or better and lock this up for me today. And again, the other ones that I mentioned. But let's go to shooting guard. Obviously, Harden is someone to consider, especially if you're looking to pay down at guard. And get like or in one of the other positions. You could definitely pay up for James Harden in this matchup because he's going to get fired up as well. Houston has been playing a whole lot better as of late, even without Chris Paul. So Harden, I think he's going to play. So I'm not even concerned there. Will I have a ton of exposure to him? No. I love Giannis more so in this matchup today, in this slate today. So just like on Christmas Day, I was all over Giannis. I'm going to be all over Giannis a bit again today as the top stud. But James Harden is someone that you guys can consider. Jimmy Butler, Donovan Mitchell, could be in good spots here. I do think Donovan Mitchell is probably in a better situation because he is at home. We come down here, we got Buddy Hield. Definitely like Buddy Hield in this matchup against the Lakers. So he is someone that I'm considering. The Lakers have been giving up quite a bit. Let's see here. Yeah, the Lakers have been giving up 35.2 fantasy points per game as of late. And as far as the shooting guard position, they have the most amount of fantasy points given up to opposing shooting guards. So he is someone to consider there. I will have a little exposure to him, but I love Fox a little bit more. But if you're not on Fox, my recommendation is, hey, Buddy Hield could be an excellent play here, or even Mr. Bogdanovich. So definitely keep one of those guys in mind for Sacramento here in the shooting guard spot if you wanted to come down and pay at this level. But I'm going to come all the way down, and I'm going to go with Malcolm Brogdon just to give you guys a little bit of room, because there is a little bit of room for you to get a Giannis or to even pay for a James Harden. you could definitely go with a Malcolm Brogdon. Was very, very steady, very consistent as of late, and his numbers have been looking pretty good, especially against the Knickerbockers. He has played well. So Brogdon coming in here pretty good, 15 points, 4 rebounds, pretty much 5 rebounds a game, 3.5 assists, 26.8 fantasy points per game, 5,700. You need him to come in here and get about 27 fantasy points, which is very much doable for him. And on DK, he's 5,300. You need 26. 26. And as you can see here, pretty much 34 or better in 2 out of the last 3 games for Mr. Brogdon. All right. And we come over here to Mr. Brogdon. And as you can see, 2 out of his last 3, the minutes are there, 26 to 27. He's been averaging more than 1 fantasy point per minute, nearly close to 1.1 fantasy points per minute in some of these matchups. Look at the usage rate and the little bit amount of minutes he's on the floor. His usage is through the roof, 26 to as much as pretty much 26 to 27% in the last 3 games. Granted, he didn't shoot particularly well in this game here, 3 of 11, but he's been taking about 11, 12 shots a game on average. He's taking about 3 or 4 threes pretty much on average. And he's getting to the foul line at least 4 times or 2 to 4 times a game. And he brings in some rebounding, some assists. He does turn over the ball a little bit, but he plays a little bit of defense. As you can see, steals, which I always love to see from a guard. 3 here and 2 here. Doesn't get into foul trouble, so it's another thing that's good. And he has had pretty good success against the Knicks. As you can see here, last 2 games against the Knicks, 37 and 36 this year, and a 25 spot earlier in the year on October the 22nd. At 5,700, I think he's a fine play. New York is here coming in 24th in defending shooting guards, allowing 33.3 fantasy points per game. So I'm hoping for him to get at least over 35 over the last 5 games. They give up 37 to Brogdon, 31 to Bazemore, 54 to Mr. Booker, and 57 to Oladipo in the last 4 out of the last 5 games, pretty much for the Knickerbockers. So Malcolm Brogdon is definitely someone that I do like here so that I could pay up to get his teammate, Mr. Giannis Antetokounmpo. So, all right. Other plays here, obviously, if there's no Harden, Eric Gordon will come into effect here. He will definitely be someone to consider. So I'm not going to bypass him. Like I said, I do like Buddy Hield here as well. So Eric Gordon will be in play for sure. We'll have exposure to him if we hear that Harden is out. That definitely opens up the doors for him. But if Harden is not in, if Harden is playing, then I will definitely fade Gordon. I mean, 6,300 is up there. Granted, he's been pretty much averaging close to 30 pretty much for the last few games. So granted, his price tag has come up. But I'm not sure if I want to pay that price for him. And then, like I said, man, I am all over Caldwell Pope at 3,800. I'm going to pencil him in here as well for me. I think he's in a great matchup, so Caldwell Pope will be someone that you should definitely consider. KCP, Sacramento's been giving up nearly 30 fantasy points per game as of late. And he did have a 32 and a 45 spot against these guys last year. So he's done well against these guys in the past. They gave up 26 to Bradley, 42 to Drew Holiday, and 31 to Garrett Temple as of recent. And with his usage, his minutes are going to go up. His usage is going to go up. He's going to have to take some shots. So I like the chances of him, Caldwell Pope, more so than Hart, to have a big game for the Lakers today. Other than that, like I said, Buddy Hield will be the next guy that I would like in the shooting guard position. As small forward, like I said, I do love Giannis. And Giannis is in play for me. My only thing is that obviously I gave you guys him the other day. I will have exposure to Giannis today. Easily 30 to 40% of my roster, of my lineups are going to have Giannis. There's no doubt about it. We're going to come down, and like I said at the beginning when I was discussing the Lakers with LeBron James out, that I definitely love Brandon Ingram here way more than I think Ball. I will favor him a lot more. He will be more in my lineups. Brandon Ingram. Now, granted, we're not basing this on anything other than, to be totally honest with you, this is not a statistical thing. This is a matter of value, that matter of him getting an uptick in minutes, usage, and shots. Due to the fact that LeBron James is out, we have to take advantage of that. Sometimes you can't just look at all the numbers. I normally look at the numbers. The numbers look good, and they have had good history against the team. Then I definitely will say, hey, you know what? I'm going to look a little bit further and see how they have done against defensively against the team, who's matched up against them, what's the fantasy point totals, and move on. But in this case here, this is all a matter of, hey, LeBron James is out. Somebody's going to have to step up. And guys like Brandon Ingram, Kuzma, guys like KCP, and Ball are going to have to get busy. So Brandon Ingram is someone I definitely do like here at At small forward, he's coming in 6,400, 15 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 25 fantasy points per game. At 6,400, you need 33, so it's definitely a tough price tag for him. On DK, he's 5,800, you need 28 there. But as you can see, he's been 27 or better in 2 out of the last 3 games. So he's at least doing fairly well as far as scoring fantasy points. We're going to look for him here. And Mr. Ingram, obviously, we're not looking, his chart doesn't look pretty at all. But again, he's getting about 17, 18, almost 20 somewhat percent in usage. That's going to definitely be even jumping up a little bit more today. The minutes, 2 out of the last 3 games, 33 plus, which is a shocker. He's definitely going to have to play those many minutes and maybe even more than that. As you can see in those 2 games, he took 14 and 15 shots respectively. He's going to need to take about that many shots throughout the time that Mr. James is out. He can hit a couple of threes. He definitely is not that bad of a free throw shooter, but can get to the line. He definitely brings a little bit of rebounding, a little bit of assists. Doesn't bring a whole lot of defense on a consistent basis. As you can see, he has gone 2 games without a steal or a block. Got to avoid the fouls. Sometimes he gets a little overly aggressive and he gets into foul trouble. If you can stay away from that, he'll be fine. But I do like the matchup against Sacramento and the usage he's going to get. As you can see, he did put up a 24 in his last game. This game here with the 55, this was in a preseason game, so we're not going to even count that. But he did have 35 and 31 last year in 2 out of the 3 matchups against the Sacramento Kings. Paced up game. Do like Ingram going up and down the floor. Sacramento 22nd in defending small forwards, allowing 30.8, pretty much 31 fantasy points per game over the last 5 games. They did give up 63 to Mr. Paul George, and Mr. Tabaris Harris did put up 31, which is a low number for Tabaris. But nonetheless, those were the 2 top names that they have faced over the last 5 or 6 games. So again, this is more so of taking advantage of the value there that he should be able to get a bunch of minutes. So we're going to throw in there Mr. Brandon Ingram. As you can see, 65, 67. Like I said, I already told you I will have exposure to Giannis. So Giannis is definitely in play for me. You come down here, you want to find even more value. There are a couple of guys that I do like. I think Joe Ingles at home, he's always dangerous at home. He has Mr. Engel has had 27 and a 30 the last 2 meetings against Philadelphia, and the 30 spot was at home. Philadelphia's coming in here giving up almost 27 fantasy points per game, but they did give up 47 to Jason Tatum recently, and Kevin Knox and the Knicks put up 27. So I do think the Engels have a shot here, but 6,300 might be a tough price tag for this matchup. I do like Namaje Bjelica here again today. Versus the Lakers in a paced-up game. Only 5,500. The guy put up, a 38 spot last night. And so Mr. Bjelica is definitely in play for me again with the Lakers. I do like him there at 5,500. If you and the other guy that I do love here in this matchup is Lance Stevenson. He's going to get some minutes. And when he's on the floor, he just usually takes over. He is one of those guys that is good at 1 fantasy point per minute, can get you some really big numbers really quickly, very fast. So Lance Stevenson is someone you must consider here at 4,100. I will have a little exposure to him. If I'm pairing him up with Giannis and not using Ingram, you can go that route. If not, you can put Giannis with Ingram and then find value somewhere else. You can do that. So the pairing up there, I wouldn't even be afraid to pair up Brandon Ingram with Lance Stevenson because I know he's going to get some minutes. But I'd rather go Giannis with Lance in a lineup as opposed to Brandon Ingram and Lance Stevenson. So you could go that route. Daniel House could be someone to consider at 4,100 as well. He's been playing a little bit more. I think he's been starting as of late. So, again, watch the news for Mr. Harden. If he happens to be out, I think he'll get even more of a bump. And, of course, you got Gerald Green also that you must consider here at the small forward spot for Houston as well. It's been getting at least 20 minutes a game. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it when I'm thinking of small forward. At power forward, right here at the top, gotta love Draymond Green here again, man. 7,100. He is still priced too low. 7,100 is still a little low in price for Draymond Green. Going up here against Portland. So I like him as well today. I like him. He's my favorite play. But again, I do like Kuzma. I do like Vanderlei as well for the Knicks, who has played well as of late and especially has done well against Milwaukee. But he has 50-point upside, Draymond Green, man. So you got to always have him in consideration. Double-double, triple-double guy pretty much can happen any given day. So I do like him here. He's averaging 8 points, 7 rebounds. As you can see, the balance, 7 points pretty much almost all the way across the board. He is pretty balanced out. 31 fantasy points per game, 7,100. You need 35 to meet value. He's only 6,100 on DK. So you only need 30 to meet value there. And as you can see here, pretty much 29 or better in 6 out of his last 8 games. slightly trending up. Mr. Draymond Green. Let's go over here, power forward. Mr. Green. And as you can see, Draymond, not too bad, man. 2 games here, solid. Again, a little choppy before that, but again, he's been trending slightly upward. The minutes are there, 32 or better over the last few games. Usage rate is climbing up a little bit. He's pretty much at about 14-15% on average. And then at field goals, as you can see, 3 out of the last 4 games, he's been shooting at least 11 or 12 shots per game, but more in the range of about 8 shots a game. And he'll take the occasional couple of threes. He takes about 3 or 4 per game on average. Can bury some now and then. Yeah, not a bad free throw shooter when he gets to the line, but he doesn't normally get to the line a whole lot. But he brings the rebounding, he brings assists. He's got to clean up the turnovers, man. The turnovers are a bit too much. 4 in the last game, did have 3 steals. He had 5 steals the game before that, 8 steals and 1 block over the last 2 games. So, again, he definitely brings steals and blocks, but he is a little bit of turnover prone. And this thing here gets into foul trouble like crazy. Stay away from fouls, Draymond. Please, stay away from fouls tonight. And put yourself in a position to help your team out. So if Draymond can do that, we will be in pretty good shape. Versus Portland, last year, pretty much a 38 and a 58 in 2 games last year. This was in February and March, so he ended up the year pretty good against the guys. Granted, he was playing massive minutes. He was doing a whole lot of other things back then that he's not really doing now, but he's starting to get going again. He's starting to get more involved in the offense. So I think he's still in a great spot with that $7,100 price tag. Portland coming in here 16th in defending power forwards, allowing 23.5 fantasy points per game, which is very low. It's pretty darn good over the last 5 games. But they did give up 47 to Luka Doncic and 32 to Jaren Jackson, 28 to Jeremy Grant. So I like the idea that those guys, Grant and Jackson, put up 28 and 32, and we got a guy like Draymond Green who is capable of getting double-doubles and triple-doubles, can put you in a position to get 40 or better, and he has 50-point upside. So Draymond Green, definitely in play for me today. Like I said, I do like Kyle Kuzma in this situation as well. You have to have exposure to Kyle Kuzma. He is going to get a bump in minutes. He's going to need to score, and I expect him to without no LeBron James. We're looking at the power forwards as far as Kuzma. Kuzma's going up against Sacramento. Sacramento, 33.4 fantasy points per game giving up to power forwards over the last 5 games. So that is pretty darn good where he's headed. Then we have Mr. Knox and Mr. Vanderlei. I definitely like Vanderlei and Mr. Kevin Knox of the Knicks. Remember, Kevin Knox plays small forward. Even though he's on FanDuel, he has a power forward. Vanderlei's the starting 4. He's the starting 3 for the Knicks. So both of them, you could actually pair them up like I did a few times the other day on Christmas, and they paired up fairly well. I expected more from them, but they both did fairly well to get you some good numbers. So a 6,100 and 6,000, not bad plays at all. Marcus Morris is someone also that I'm keeping an eye on for today against Houston. I think Houston has definitely some vulnerability up front there as well. They have been giving up 29 fantasy points per game as of late. They did give up 40 to Grant, 29 to Gay. Jaren Jackson put up 33 against them as well. So, again, I do like him. And he has also put up 35. He did put up a 35 the last time he played Houston. So Marcus Morris is definitely someone to consider here today as well. And there's always that, be on the radar for Mr. Aminu. But 5,100 price tag is a little bit up again after it was down to about 46, 4,700. Mr. Aminu could be someone that you can consider there as well. But again, Draymond Green, Kyle Kuzma, Noah Vonleh, Morris, and Knox are probably the best possible plays here. And granted, it's a game-time decision on Marvin Bagley, but he's coming from a knee injury. I would not consider him right off the bat. So don't jump the gun and get him in your lineup just quite yet. At center, you got Embiid at the top, Capella. I think Capella is in a good spot against Boston. You could definitely consider him. I'm not on Embiid today against Utah. He's got to go up against Gobert. Gobert has those moments where he's really, really good, especially at home. Embiid has been a little up and down as of late as well. I kind of like better Jimmy Butler or Ben Simmons in their matchups in this game as opposed to Embiid. But again, he's not like he can't get it done. Capella, good spot. Nurkic, definitely like Nurkic here, 7,700. He's definitely someone that you must consider. I am in favor of Nurkic or Willie Cauley-Stein. You take either one of those two, I'm going to have pretty much exposure to both of them half and half. I think they're, to me, the best possible plays today. Nurkic's going up against Golden State, and Golden State has been giving up 38.4 fantasy points per game to opposing centers. They did give up 39 to Zubac just recently, and then Mr. DeAndre Jordan put a 55 and Gorbea put a 46. So I think Nurkic is definitely someone to consider. And you got Willie Cauley-Stein in his paced-up game at home. And the reasons why I like him there is because he's a little bit better at home and the team plays better at home. And, again, he was one of those guys that didn't play a whole lot of minutes last night as well. As you can see, only 22 minutes. And 22 minutes, he put up 1 fantasy point per minute, 23.5. I do like him here today. 7,500 for Mr. Willie Cauley-Stein. 37 is what you need at 7,500. He's averaging 14 points, 8 rebounds, pretty much 2.5 assists, 31.8, 32 fantasy points per game. On DK, you're 6,600. You need 33. He's averaging 32, as you can see. What I like is that 4 out of his last 5 games, he has put at least 36 or better, 31 or better. So he is at least in his average and has been trending slightly up in in the last few games. We come over here to Willie Cauley-Stein, and as you can see, pretty decent. 2 games, 36 and 56. The minutes were up in those games, over 32 minutes over 3 out of his last 4 games. Usage rate is up at about maybe 13-14% on average. And of course, now as of late, he's been getting a little bit more steady shots, maybe 9 to 10 pretty much on average per game. And his free throw shooting is not too bad for a guy who doesn't get to the foul line a whole lot, but he brings the rebounding. He can get you some assists. And what I like best is that he definitely defends. He'll get you some steals. He'll get you some blocks. He's got to watch the foul trouble, but he has been good the last 5 or 6 games. It's been a while since he's got into deep foul trouble. But the team has to play well. If the team plays well, he'll be on the court longer. I do like him here. Like I said, I do like him and I do like Nurkic, but because I gave you Nurkic before, I'm just trying to mix it up. Again, this is why I always give you other options. I know for a fact that I'm going to be honest and tell you I'm going to have 50% of my lineups are going to have Willie Cauley-Stein, and another 50 of my lineup are going to have Mr. Jusuf Nurkic, So, again, Willie Cauley-Stein didn't play for me the last time he played L.A. Matter of fact, I didn't even do that. Sorry. Last time he played L.A., he only put up a 28 spot. This was back in preseason. Not a big deal. Only played 26 minutes that game. But as you can see, last year did have 2 fairly decent games, 38 and 47 against L.A. And those games were both at home, as you can see. They were not in L.A. So he had trouble on the road playing them in L.A., but he played better here. And again, L.A.'s been up and down. Now, granted, he's also going up against a young kid, Zubac, who's been playing really, really well. I still like the matchup for Willie Cauley-Stein. I think that he can definitely do justice in a paced-up game like this with L.A. Missing out on LeBron James, which is really big for them as far as rebounding is concerned. So Willie Cauley-Stein in play for me. And like I said, Mr. Nurkic in play as well. Lakers are coming in 25th in defending centers. They've been allowing 32.3 fantasy points per game to opposing centers over the last 5 games. They did give up 41 to Gasol, 35 to Randle, and these were all defended. These last 2 names were defended during the 3 games that Zubac has been the defending center who's been playing. So Willie Cauley-Stein in playing, like I said, very easily. You can pencil him out. You could take him out and pencil in Nurkic. I think either one of the two is fine. I'm not on Zubac, even though he's been playing so well. 6,500. His price tag has come up considerably, almost like $2,000 or so. I'm going to wait and see. I think that he's probably capped out at about 38 to 39 fantasy points per game, and that's pretty close to what his price tag is now. But if he jumps up and gets another 45, 50 spot, or gets something like that today, you're going to have to reconsider him the next time out. Other than that, a surprised person that you could possibly take is Mr. Cantor for the Knicks. He's probably the only one that I would even consider 5,900. The only problem is with my New York Knicks, as you guys know, I'm a New York Knicks fan, is just he does, choppy with the minutes with him. There's just no way of telling if he's going to play 35 minutes, 30 minutes, or 35 minutes, or if he's going to play 22 or 23 minutes. So it's tough for me to give you him, but he could be a very sneaky play. If the Knicks play him 25 to 30 minutes, he can get you 35 to 40 fantasy points. He's capable of doing it, but he needs to be on the court. Other than him, maybe Kevin Looney. Looney 4,000. He's been getting some minutes as of late. You could consider him. Portland has been giving up 31 fantasy points per game to opposing centers. And Gobert put a 55 and Gasol 48. But again, Kevin Looney is not Gobert or Gasol. But nonetheless, it could at least give us an idea that if he's on the court, he could get us 20 to 25, which we only need 20 for him to meet value. So Looney could be someone to consider. I'm not on Muscala. Yeah, I just don't know. There's just nobody really that I like. Those are the guys that I'm really considering. So, that's pretty much where I'm at, guys, man. That is pretty much where I'm at on this slate. If anything changes, I will definitely give an update here on the video comments down below for this video. Other than that, It'll be pretty much these plays. I haven't changed a whole lot of players over the last like 5 or 6 videos, just simply because I think I felt really good about every one of them heading into lock. But if anything changes, which I've done in the past, I make the change and I'll let you guys know. I even put it up on Twitter. I apologize, I didn't put up the Twitter top 5 plays the last 2 days, Christmas Day and yesterday, but I will make sure I post that for you guys today that follow me on Twitter. Again, comment down below. You can discuss with me the slate. You can tell me who you like, you don't like. Again, I try to leave some room in there. Granted, I did go back to Fox again for one more time. Everybody else here is fairly new. Malcolm Brogdon is just simply there because I definitely love Giannis in the matchup, and I think he and Giannis will have a very, very solid game against the Knickerbockers. That's one of the reasons why I'm considering Malcolm Brogdon. But also to open up some value and some space for you guys there. Like I said, I do have other guys here that I mentioned that I do like in these spots. So if you don't like Brogdon, you can go right up to someone else there. But again, when it's all said and done, if you listen to all the names that I gave you, you pretty much have about 18 or 20 possible plays. So, put some lineups together, man. And again, wish everybody a lot of luck. Let's go out there and get this money, and I'll see you guys for tomorrow's video.